I had a very loud bang from the outside. I didn't understand what exactly that was. What came to my mind was that maybe someone was holding something that was heavy, and then they were able to drop it in the veranda as they were passing. So that is what came to my mind. Later on, we were told that that was an attempt by the Al-Shabaab to just kill us, all of us that were in that room one time, because they had thrown a grenade which was intended that it gets into the hole that we were in, and then kill all of us. But unfortunately or fortunately, because God was with us, the grenade hit the wall and then it was able to burst from the outside. After everything had calmed, in about 5 or so minutes, the Al-Shabaab himself now came into the room, and he stood at the door because the room had only one door. He stood at the door, and with his machine gun, he began spraying bullets across the room, because we had made a circle in the room. As I was in that state, I looked besides on both my left and my right. I realized that my neighbors who were standing beside me, all of them were on the floor, and they were praying from the floor. And so when I tried to look backwards to see what is happening in this room, I could not be able to successfully turn my neck to be able to see, because it felt like, these things which were bullets now would hit me on my side. As I was standing before going to the floor, I had felt some sensation in my left thigh, and then what followed was I was bleeding profusely. So I couldn't relate what I felt and the amount of blood that was oozing out of my body. And as I was there, I looked at one of the sides, because the side that I was standing on, we had the windows on that side of the wall, and one of the adjacent windows, there was a lady who jumped through the window, and she was not followed up by the Al-Shabaab. So I was like, if this lady has jumped, she was called Abigail, if Abigail has jumped and this guy has not followed her, could I also jump? Because I was just adjacent to another door. And while in that process of whether to jump or not, another thinking came to my mind that if you will stand up, this guy will shoot you in the head and you'll come right down here again. So I was torn in between. I was in a serious dilemma whether to jump or not to jump. The next time I was coming back to my senses, I found myself on top of the window facing the outside. So while there, this Al-Shabaab tried to shoot me. I think it was in the head or in the neck, but the bullet passed on top of my right shoulder. It touched a little bit my piece of cloth that I was wearing, but it did not hit me. Once I was out of the university, the biggest question was, where do I go? And the community there was very hostile to us in that time, because we were referred to by the community around there as Kafiri and Nyolengum. I embarked on running towards the Garissa County Hospital, which was about 2 to 3 kilometers away. So I ran for about 1 kilometer. At that point, I began feeling a lot of pain in my left leg, and it grew very numb. A motorbike came by, and I was able to lift my hand and flanked it down, and luckily he stood, and he was a Nywelengumu like myself. He was so kind enough, and he lifted me, he put me on his motorbike, and he drove me all the way to the hospital. May God bless that man. Once I was in the hospital, I was checked, and at that point is when I knew and actually believed that I had been shot in my left thigh. I have the marks. To this very day, I was taken care of by the doctors, and when they checked, they said the bullet did not interfere with the bone. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to run for that long.